Welcome to Twisted Truths, where betrayal meets brutal payback, and where the most unexpected twists expose what people are really capable of. This story isn't just shocking, it's personal. My name is Kurt. I'm 47 years old, a mechanical engineer who has always played life by the rules, steady, loyal, grounded. For the last 12 years, I worked for a firm called Ridgeway Manufacturing. Built up savings, equity, a home in Coral Gables, and what I thought was a future with my wife, Mariana. We met at a summer barbecue hosted by my company in 2010. She was visiting from Brazil, trailing her sister, barely fluent in English, but vibrant, infectious even. I was the quiet guy flipping burgers. She was the spark I didn't know I was missing. We married the following spring. No grand ceremony. Just love. She moved into the home I'd paid off 5 years before. Said she felt safe with me. I believed her. For years, we made it work. Her English improved. I learned enough Portuguese to get by. We laughed, traveled a bit, cooked dinners together, feijoada on Saturdays, her favorite. We never had children, not by choice. Just, never happened. But about 2 years ago, something shifted. The trips to Brazil started getting longer. Family emergency, she'd say. Or, my mother needs help with the store. At first, I didn't question it. Then I noticed the spending. Thousands withdrawn from our joint account while she was gone. Unexplained credit card bills from Sao Paulo. I asked, softly at first, then firmly. She always had an excuse. A few months ago, Mariana missed our anniversary. No call, no flowers, no apology. Said she forgot because her aunt was sick. But her cousin's Facebook told a different story, photos of her aunt smiling on a beach in Rio. Still. I let it go. Or tried to. Because I loved her. Because I couldn't believe the woman I gave everything to could betray me. And then came the message. WhatsApp. I'm filing for divorce. I've met someone younger here in Brazil. He treats me like a queen. Attached was a photo, her arms around some boy who looked barely out of college. My jaw clenched. My stomach sank. We've already moved into your house. It's better this way. My house. Our life. A 14-year marriage dismantled between engineering blueprints and a WhatsApp ping. I typed back one word, congratulations. Locked my screen. And just sat there. I should have cried. Should have screamed. But I didn't. I just, shut down. I knew what this meant. I wasn't just being abandoned, I was being replaced. And worse, taken for a fool. But what Mariana didn't know was that behind my calm exterior, something else had begun to stir. I had a blueprint of my own to draw up now. And it wouldn't end the way she expected. After the message, I went home and sat in my truck outside the house for almost 20 minutes. Couldn't bring myself to walk in. Couldn't bear to open the door and see if she really had moved her new boy toy in. I wasn't ready for that. But when I did walk through the front door, it hit me. The smell was different, her perfume gone. Her plants half wilted. And worse, there were things missing. Drawers in the bedroom half empty. The closet stripped of her clothes. Toothbrush gone. My home felt hollow. But she'd left something behind. An envelope on the kitchen counter. Inside, copies of legal documents in Portuguese I couldn't fully understand. And a typed note that read. Kurt, I've found happiness. I hope you find yours. Don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'm entitled to half. Entitled. That word broke something in me. 14 years of marriage, and I was reduced to a line item on a spreadsheet. A transaction. A cost. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the living room, staring at the empty spot where our wedding photo used to be. My hands shook as I scrolled through our bank records. More withdrawals, thousands wired to Brazil in the last 3 months. Her excuses made sense then. Only, they weren't for her family. They were for him. Restaurants I'd never heard of. Hotels I'd never been to. Jewelry stores. Even lingerie. My money. I dug deeper, pulled every bank statement from the last 2 years. I didn't stop to eat or sleep. Just kept going. And the truth unfolded like a slow, bitter film. She'd been draining me bit by bit. And I'd been blind, busy working overtime to keep the lights on, to fund our future while she planned hers with someone else. The worst part? I remembered that last Christmas, when I surprised her with a necklace and she barely smiled. Said she was tired. I now knew she'd probably just come back from spending a weekend in Rio with him. That realization crushed me. I felt stupid. Weak. Humiliated. I called her, once. She didn't answer. Sent back a message instead. Please don't be dramatic. I'll have my lawyer contact you. And just like that, I was disposable. The man who paid for everything. Who loved her unconditionally. Who held her hand when she got her green card. Now discarded for a shirtless 20-something who probably couldn't spell mortgage. I thought about just walking away. Letting her have what she wanted. I was too tired to fight. But something deep in me, something quiet and sharp, refused. I realized she didn't just betray me. She underestimated me. She thought I'd roll over and let her have half of everything. That I'd drown in silence while she skipped off to Brazil, funded by my sweat. No. She'd see who I really was, not the quiet engineer, not the easy target. I wasn't just going to survive this. I was going to bury her plans with the same precision I used to build bridges, machines, and systems. It was time to flip the switch, from despair to discovery. The next morning, I didn't go to work. That might not sound like much, but for me, I hadn't missed a day in over 6 years. Not even when my father passed. But I couldn't show up and act like my world hadn't just collapsed under me. I didn't want pity. I didn't want distraction. I wanted the truth. I opened my laptop and started from the beginning. Receipts. Emails. Social media posts. Her cousin's vacation pictures. Her WhatsApp statuses from her last family emergency. All the lies I'd shrugged off started falling into place like cursed dominoes. The deeper I dug, the sicker I felt. Mariana had weaponized my trust. She hadn't just left me, she'd used me. Financially. Emotionally. Strategically. She'd been slowly staging this for years. There were emails I'd found she never bothered to delete. One of them, still in her drafts folder, read. He doesn't ask questions. It's almost sad. Once I'm on the deed, we'll have everything we need. I stared at that sentence until my eyes burned. That wasn't just infidelity. That was premeditated manipulation. And it wasn't just the man she left me for that twisted the knife, it was how she did it. Cold. Clinical. Like I was nothing more than a step in her upgrade plan. I had spent 14 years believing we were building something together. Turns out, I was the only one doing the building. She'd been preparing the demolition. And then came the final blow, an email from her to someone named Tiago. He's boring but stable. I've made sure he won't see it coming. Once the divorce is final, we're free. That's when I realized, I was never her forever. I was her foundation. The stepping stone. And now, she was trying to walk away with the whole damn house. I collapsed onto the couch and let the wave of pain hit me full force. I wasn't just grieving the end of my marriage, I was grieving the man I used to be. The man who believed love was enough. Who trusted. Who never asked for receipts or explanations. That man was gone. I stayed on that couch for hours, unmoving, only blinking when the sun started setting. And when the light finally disappeared through the blinds, I made a decision. If Mariana thought she could build her new life using the ashes of mine, she'd better be ready for the fire I was about to start. They say betrayal teaches you what you're really made of. Turns out, I was made of something sharp. After Mariana's WhatsApp ambush and that flood of receipts, I started sleeping less and thinking more. I wasn't just sad anymore. I was curious, obsessed even, with what she tried to get away with. So I did what engineers do best, I built a plan. And the first step was gathering data. I didn't know where to start legally, but I did know someone who might. Janet Torres. I remembered her from a seminar my firm had sponsored 2 years earlier. A divorce attorney who specialized in high-conflict, high-stakes cases, especially where money was involved. People said she had ice in her veins and fangs behind her smile. I made the call. "Mr. Monroe?" she asked after I explained who I was. "It's Kurt now," I said. "And I think I've been set up. Tell me everything." So I did. And when I finished, there was a pause. Then came her reply. "You're sitting on a goldmine." That surprised me. "Your wife didn't just leave you. She committed financial misconduct. Possibly fraud. If we act quickly, you won't just protect your assets, you may be able to recover what she's stolen." Recover? She had my attention. Janet told me to pull every bank statement, every international wire record, every credit card bill with charges from Brazil. "And if you have evidence she's cohabitating with this man while you're still married, oh boy, we're going to have fun in court." I hadn't smiled in days. But that made the corners of my mouth twitch. Next, I hired a private investigator, Carlos Santos. Retired detective. Quiet. Calculated. The kind of guy who finds people who don't want to be found. I gave him everything I had. Photos. Emails. Names. Dates. He didn't ask dumb questions. "I'll be in touch," he said in a gravel voice and vanished like smoke. 2 weeks passed. Then Carlos called. "I've got her boyfriend." My heart sank. Not because I didn't expect it, but because I knew what was coming next. He's 24. No job. Living in a subsidized apartment Mariana rented under a fake last name. She's been wiring money to his account directly, not to her family. How much? Carlos didn't even hesitate. Almost $28,000 in the last 6 months. Jesus. She's paying for his life, I muttered. She's funding his future with your past, he said. But Carlos wasn't done. He had something else, something I didn't see coming. "She's been talking to immigration lawyers," he said. "Trying to figure out if she can bring him to the US on a marriage visa." I blinked. She wants to marry him. Already promised him. Emails, text messages, all of it. She thinks once your divorce is finalized, she can remarry and claim a portion of your assets through retroactive spousal support. But here's the good news. Carlos cleared his throat. You're still married. And she's cohabitating and committing financial infidelity. In Florida. That's golden. I couldn't breathe for a second. The pain in my chest wasn't grief anymore. It was fury. Controlled, sharpened fury. She hadn't just left. She'd been engineering this from the moment she realized I wouldn't put her on the deed to the house. That's when it clicked. She didn't love him. She loved the exit strategy. And the irony? She'd married the one man who could trace her strategy down to the decimal. I printed every document and drove them straight to Janet. She flipped through the files, eyebrows rising with each page. "This is, wow," she whispered. "She was trying to clean you out like a bank job. She thinks I'm soft." Well, Janet smiled, she's about to learn. We file first. Here, in Florida. That gives us jurisdiction. I'll move to freeze joint accounts and demand a forensic audit. And when the judge sees this. She held up the screenshot of Mariana's message saying she'd moved in with her new man. Your wife's little fantasy life ends. That's when I realized something else. She hadn't just betrayed our marriage. She'd underestimated the hell out of the man she married. And that was going to cost her everything. The moment I handed Janet that stack of proof, I stopped being the victim. It felt like snapping out of a trance. For the first time in weeks, I wasn't sitting in the wreckage of my marriage, I was standing on the blueprint of Mariana's downfall. And we were going to build something brutal. First step, Janet said, flipping through the files, we file here, in Florida. Not Brazil. That puts her on our turf. If she tries to file in Brazil, we beat her to it. She'll be forced to respond to our court, not the other way around. She'll be confused, and that's what we want. Janet explained that filing first matters more than most people realize. It dictates the venue, the law, the tone. If Mariana thought she'd walk into a courtroom months later and sweet-talk her way into half of everything, she was in for a legal hurricane. Carlos, my investigator, called next. I found something else, he said. She's telling people in Brazil that you were emotionally abusive. Controlling. That she had to escape. My jaw locked. She's playing the victim, I muttered. She's rewriting history so she can justify leaving you for this kid, Carlos replied. Her whole family believes it. Even posted a GoFundMe for her recovery. She was publicly turning me into a villain. I'd never raised my voice to her in 14 years. Never withheld anything. And now, in another hemisphere, she was casting me as some cruel, controlling monster. It made sense, though. She was creating a story in case I fought back. She knew me well enough to know I'd eventually get tired of being quiet. But she didn't know how loud I could get when I started talking. Janet's face when I showed her the social media posts. Defamation, she said flatly. If we can prove these claims are false, which, judging from your documentation, we absolutely can, it strengthens everything. The judge won't just see a cheating wife. He'll see a dishonest, manipulative one trying to destroy your reputation for leverage. I leaned back in the chair, heart racing. What's next? We freeze your joint accounts. Move your paycheck into an individual account. Set alerts for any login attempts. If she tries to access anything from Brazil, we'll know in minutes. I did exactly that. That same afternoon, I opened a new checking account and rerouted my direct deposit. I canceled shared credit cards. Set two-factor authentication on everything. It wasn't just about money anymore, it was about control. Then came the trickiest part, the house. Mariana had wanted her name added to the deed for years. I'd always resisted, and thank God I did. The house had been mine before the marriage. I'd paid it off, brick by brick, before she ever set foot in it. Still, under Florida law, it was marital property now. But Janet had a loophole. If we can prove she abandoned the residence, and is now living with another man, you can file a claim for exclusive ownership. And so I began documenting everything. Empty drawers. The envelope she left. The fact that she hadn't returned in over 30 days. All of it mattered. Next step. I sent her mortgage paperwork. A refinancing offer that required both signatures. A setup. If she didn't respond, the lender would remove her from the paperwork entirely. She ignored it. That was our green light. We filed the claim. 6 weeks later, my name was the only one on the deed. Then came the most surgical move of all. Janet filed a formal request with the court, not just for divorce, but for reimbursement of misappropriated marital funds, nearly $50,000 in unauthorized transfers. Every dinner Mariana bought for her boy toy. Every wire she sent under false pretenses. It was all on the table now, and the court could demand she pay it back, plus interest. The best part? She didn't see any of this coming. Carlos's latest report showed Mariana still posting bikini selfies with her new life, bragging about how liberated she felt. She had no idea the legal tsunami heading her way. And as the pieces locked into place, I realized something terrifyingly satisfying. This wasn't just revenge. This was justice, drafted like a blueprint, precise like a machine, and built on the truth she tried to bury. 3 days before we filed, I sat in my living room in complete silence, staring at the place where our wedding photo used to hang. Now there was just a faint outline in the paint. That blank space was poetic, what she'd erased, what I was about to rewrite. At 9 a.m. sharp, Janet filed everything. Divorce on the grounds of adultery, abandonment, financial misconduct, and defamation. Along with it, we submitted a formal motion to freeze all joint accounts, request exclusive use of the marital home, and seek restitution for every misused dollar. The same morning, Carlos' contact in Brazil served Mariana the papers. He'd tracked her to a dingy apartment in Sao Paulo where she was living with her new man. According to the PI's report, she was shocked. Not just surprised, blindsided. She hadn't even started the process in Brazil. She thought she had time. She thought I'd crumble. The clock was ticking now. Under Florida law, she had 20 days to respond, and until then, she was legally prohibited from accessing any marital assets or property. That evening, my phone rang. Her number flashed on the screen. I didn't pick up. She texted instead. "Kurt, what the hell did you do? I wasn't ready for this. We can talk." I stared at her words, then typed back. "Talk to your lawyer." A few minutes later, she called again. I answered this time, not because I wanted to, but because I needed to hear it. The fear. The panic. "Kurt," she said, her voice strained, high-pitched. "We don't have to fight. This doesn't need to get ugly. It already is." Okay, but freezing everything? You're leaving me with nothing." "You left me with nothing," I said. "I'm just returning the favor." "You're being vindictive." "No. I'm being precise." Silence. Then she whispered, "It wasn't supposed to go like this." Exactly. It wasn't supposed to go like this, for her. She hung up. 2 days later, her lawyer in Brazil contacted Janet, trying to negotiate. "What do you want to do?" Janet asked me. I didn't hesitate. "No deals. We go to court." The trial date was set 3 months out. During that time, I kept my head down and my focus sharp. Every day she posted another photo online, cocktails with the boy, beach trips, shopping bags. She still didn't grasp what was happening. And every day, I worked with Janet to build the case. We printed documents. Annotated receipts. Translated emails. Highlighted wire transfers. The timeline was so tight and damning it looked like a forensic audit. By the time the trial came, Mariana walked into the Miami courthouse wearing a sleek black dress and oversized sunglasses, like she was attending a funeral. I guess in a way, she was. She was flanked by 2 attorneys she could barely afford. Her boy. Nowhere to be seen. He'd vanished the moment the money stopped. Judge Patricia Reynolds presided. No nonsense. Cold-eyed. And Janet made sure to set the tone immediately. "Your Honor," she began, "this is not just a case of infidelity. It's a case of calculated deception. My client was not only betrayed but financially targeted by a woman who used marriage as a stepping stone and left him with bills while building a life with another man." The judge barely glanced at Mariana. Then Janet handed her our evidence binder, 3 inches thick. One by one, we presented. The wire transfers, labeled family emergencies, that went to Mariana's boyfriend's account. Screenshots of hotel reservations, intimate dinners, and shopping trips. Emails where she wrote, in Portuguese, that she was only staying long enough to secure the deed. The defamation posts online, accusing me of abuse, with phone records, text logs, and bank statements disproving every claim. Mariana's attorneys tried to counter with emotional appeal. He was cold. He didn't understand her culture. She felt isolated and unloved. The judge interrupted. "Counselor, was that before or after she spent $20,000 on another man while married to him?" They had no answer. When Mariana finally took the stand, she looked at me. No tears. No apology. Just panic. "I didn't mean for it to go this far," she mumbled. "But you did mean to take everything with you, didn't you?" Janet fired back. "I thought we were unhappy." "No. You were unhappy. And instead of leaving honorably, you tried to rob the man who gave you 14 years of his life." Silence. Nothing but the sound of the judge scribbling notes. When it was over, the judge didn't need time to deliberate. She slammed her gavel and ruled. Mariana would receive nothing from the house. No alimony. No claim to my retirement. And she was ordered to repay $53,000 in misused marital funds, with interest. Her face collapsed. Her lawyers started whispering frantically. She was bankrupt. Alone. Publicly exposed. And for the first time since the WhatsApp message that started it all, I felt something powerful. Closure. 2 weeks after the verdict, I got a text from a number I didn't recognize. "Kurt, please. I'm sorry. Can we just talk?" I didn't answer. But I looked up the number. It was Mariana's. Not her US number, her Brazilian one. The same one she used to text her boy toy Tiago. The same one listed on all the wire transfers. I smiled. She wasn't reaching out as my wife anymore. She was reaching out as a woman who had finally run out of lifeboats. Janet called me that afternoon. "Thought you should know," she said. Her lawyer filed a motion to delay repayment. Claims she's unemployed and emotionally distressed. I laughed. Distressed because she lost the game she rigged? "She's working as a waitress in Sao Paulo," Janet added. Carlos confirmed. Tiago left her the minute the money stopped. Poetic. The man she'd abandoned everything for. Gone. Just like that. No riches. No green card. No safety net. She went from lavish hotels and fake luxury to washing dishes and waiting tables in the very city she once called her paradise. But there was more. Carlos sent me a final report, his last gift, I guess. It included new screenshots of Mariana's private social media posts. The tone had shifted completely. I thought I was smart. I thought I could outplay him. But he knew everything. He flipped the script on me. And then, buried in the comments under a photo of her holding a drink at some rundown cafe. "He was just an engineer." Someone replied. "Well, turns out engineers know how to build traps too." That hit me. Not because it was funny, but because it was true. She saw me as ordinary. Predictable. Safe. She never saw the storm coming. She never realized that someone who builds systems for a living also knows how to dismantle them, with cold, surgical precision. That was the twist she never expected. And just when I thought it was over, one final surprise arrived. An envelope. From Mariana. Inside, a handwritten letter. "You win. I thought I could remake my life and leave you behind. But all I did was destroy what I had. You were the only person who ever truly supported me. And I'm sorry it took losing everything to see that. I hope someday you'll forgive me. M." I read it once. Then folded it neatly and placed it in a drawer I rarely opened. Because while part of me appreciated the apology, the rest of me knew. She was only sorry she lost. 3 months after the courtroom verdict, I stood in the driveway of my new house in Homestead. Smaller. Simpler. Quieter. But completely mine. No ghost of her perfume in the hallway. No distant echo of arguments held in the dark. Just peace. Janet had called the week before with the final financial update. Mariana's made her first 3 payments, she said. Small, but on time. Probably coming from borrowed money or family support. She's complying. Good. It wasn't about the money anymore. It was about the principle. She thought she could walk away with everything, after building nothing. She wanted a payout for betrayal. But all she got was debt, public shame, and a sobering taste of consequence. The house in Coral Gables had sold quickly. Because I had sole ownership after her abandonment, I kept every dollar. I used part of it for this new place. The rest? Went straight into investments and a retirement fund she once tried to tap into. Mariana texted less and less. At first, she sent long apologies. Then they turned into short, desperate pleas. Finally, just silence. And that silence was the most satisfying part. She had made her choices. And now, she was living with them. As for me, work was better than ever. The company promoted me to lead engineer, citing my strategic foresight and calm under pressure. Oh, the irony. They had no idea those skills weren't just used in design schematics, but in disassembling a marriage gone toxic. I started dating again, too. Slowly. Cautiously. I'd learned a lot. That love isn't blind, it's just built on trust. And once that trust is weaponized, the person across from you isn't a partner anymore. They're a threat. But the biggest lesson? That quiet men like me, guys who fix things, can also dismantle them. And when pushed far enough, we don't shout. We plan. We calculate. We move in silence. Mariana thought she sent me a death sentence with a WhatsApp message. But all she really did, was trigger a chain reaction. And in the end, it was her foundation that crumbled. Not mine. Because sometimes, justice doesn't come with rage. It comes with receipts. In the end, truth has a way of surfacing, even if it comes twisted through pain and betrayal. As one wise voice once said, sometimes your greatest enemy was once your closest ally. If this story struck a chord with you, let us know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe, share, and spread the word, because justice deserves to be heard.